Good evening, everybody. Sorry, a bit of a time delay there. I didn't think it had gone live. Welcome to Canon Chatter TV, and welcome to another Last Orders show here in the Canon Chatter Arms. G, how are you tonight?
I'm good, I'm really good. How could I not be? We just beat Chelsea and United, so I'm in good spirits. But yeah, no, I'm all good, man. I'm all good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Had a day off work today. Got a few bits and pieces done. Got sort of set up for tonight, and yeah, other than that, nothing really else going on. Happy that we're finally starting to win a couple of games, and
Trust me.
Do you know what? It's typical Arsenal, isn't it?
It is.
We lose 3 games that we should have won, and then we win the next 2 that we shouldn't have won.
You can't write this stuff. You literally just can't write it.
Well, you say that, but I think actually that sometimes when it's Arsenal, you can.
Yeah.
You can literally write this stuff. I think we all seen it coming. When we lost those 3 games, we all kind of said it would be so Arsenal now to go on and win the next couple of games. So yeah, it's great that we did it, and we'll get on to obviously talking about the United game, because I know you obviously covered off the Chelsea game last week with Lee last Thursday night. So yeah, we'll get into it in a wee sec, but what we'll do, we'll play our intro, and then we'll get chatting.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
So, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Canon Chatter Arms for Last Orders, our review show. We will go to the comments first of all and say hello to whoever's in the chat now. Big ups, everyone. I hope you're keeping well. Now it's a new name to the channel, but I know you've subscribed, and you messaged the other day. You know Lottie from somewhere possibly. Good to have you with us. Barry, even all life is good. Is that another new name, Barry? Do you recognize that one?
Barry Fitzpatrick has been here before. It's been a couple of streams since I've seen the name, but yeah, definitely seen the name before.
Okay, my apologies, Barry. Good to have you back with us. And this is Lucas Life. Big up. That's definitely a new one. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with that one. So yeah, welcome to the channel.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button, and stick around, get involved in the chat. Share your opinions. That's what it's all about. So, G, we're going to kick things off, and I'm going to start drinking.
Yeah, I'm going to take a sip myself.
I say start drinking. I actually started about 5 o'clock today because I had the kids this afternoon.
Oh gosh.
The wife was at work, so yeah. Anyway, we're going to start off. Before we get into the United game, we're going to talk a couple of transfer rumours.
Yeah.
I think quite poignant because this guy's playing tonight and has scored tonight. Gabriel Jesus. The rumors are coming out that we've been in talks for a while now with his agent. He's keen on the move. His agent's keen on the move. Arsenal are keen on the move, and the only thing left to sort out is the price between us and City. Now, I'm going to say this one's kind of come a bit out of left field, and not one we were sort of expecting.
Yeah.
And I put out a poll last week. It was last Friday night, possibly, when it sort of first broke, asking what the fans thought, and there was well over 1,000 votes on the poll. And it was quite unanimous. 87%, I think it was, said that they'd be happy to take him. And I think what I had said was at the time, for me, I thought as a backup striker and someone who could play right wing as well, for the sort of money you'd have to pay, because he's only got a year left his contract. I thought for the sort of money, Premier League proven, knows Arteta, knows Arteta's style and whatever. And whether you're a fan of Arteta or not, the reality is that Arteta is going to be here next season.
Yep.
So we need to be looking at players that can fit and play in Arteta's way. So for me, I thought for the money, a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I'd be more than happy with Jesus. And he goes on and scores 4 goals on Saturday and has another one tonight. What's your thoughts on Jesus?
Yeah. Gabriel Jesus potential transfer to Arsenal is a no-brainer, as you said. He's Premier League proven. He knows where the goal is. Not only does he score goals, but he also creates goals. Even if you look at his stats, he's in pretty much double figures for goals this season, as well as assists. In terms of versatility, he can play across the front three. And if we're talking about Gabriel Jesus as a player with 3-4 years on his contract, he would cost, if not double, maybe even not treble some of the prices that are being quoted. And that's not necessarily to say that he's worth that amount of money, but that's the market that we live in. We live in a market where Maguire costs 80 million. So in a market where you're going to pay 80 million for Maguire, someone like Gabriel Jesus, for the time he's had at City, the fact that he's a serial winner, the fact that, despite being a bit of a bit part player for Manchester City, generally when it matters, he tends to get games. He is definitely a big game player. So he would cost well in excess of, 60, 70 million in a normal kind of transfer window or transfer market. So, when you look at the prices that's been quoted, I've seen as low as 25, right up to maybe about 40, 45 million. So he's not a player that we were massively linked with. He's not a player that, a lot of kind of, YouTube channels or us on this channel have massively discussed, because he's not a player that, we've been rumored to be in with. And the rumors kind of came out of nowhere. But for me, he is the type of player that we should be signing. In a way, it kind of reminds me a little bit of, it's not completely the same, but it reminds me a little bit of the kind of Odegaard transfer, in that he's a player, who is playing for a top team, a top European side, probably the best, if not, one of the best teams in Europe. But he's not maybe valued as much as, he would have liked, and he's not necessarily getting the game time that he probably deserves. So if he can move from Manchester City to Arsenal, and become, a pivotal player for us, which I think if he does move, he will be, then I'm all for it. He can play centrally. We could even use him on the left and even kind of use him on the right, interchanging with Saka, because I don't see a future for Pepe moving beyond this season. So yeah, it's a transfer that I'm excited about. It's a transfer that I want to happen. Obviously, he scored 5 in 2 games so far. And, under the usual circumstances, I'd probably be a little bit worried, because I think that would be adding some digits to his transfer fee. And although I think it still might, Manchester City are still in a kind of precarious situation, because they have to either convince him to stay or they got to let him go. And if he's pretty much made his mind up that he wants to leave, then there's very little Man City can do, because, I've even heard rumors that, if Man City play hardball and he's determined to leave, then there's rumors that Arsenal might wait and get him for free in 20 at the end of next season. So, but yeah, just to summarize, yeah, really excited about him potentially coming to Arsenal. I don't want him, if he does come, to be the only kind of signing we make as a forward player. But if we can sign him in addition with another centre forward, more of a traditional centre forward, to play number 9, then yeah, I'll take it all day. So I hope the rumors are true. They've come from pretty concrete sources. So let's hope it materializes and he's wearing the red and white of Arsenal next season.
Yeah, I think it's a transfer that it's very doable when you consider the relationship between Arsenal and Man City from the past, and you then factor in the relationship between Pep and Arteta.
Yeah.
And I mean, I read a thing today that potentially, they would look for very little of the money up front. They'd be happy to take it. I know Sky Sports and the like, and BBC and all, they always go off on one about how Arsenal spread the payments, but that's the done thing in football transfers. Yeah. All transfers have spread payments unless it's a very low transfer fee. But from what I'm reading, it seems that City there'd be no issue basically with the payment structure. They'd be more than happy to have it paid off at a low price over a number of years. So you're talking maybe 5 million a year for 5 years or 4 years, with 5 million up front, that sort of thing. Which, when you look at it that way, it doesn't take very much of our transfer budget.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously they're going to have a sort of budget in mind of how much they can spend. And if you're getting Jesus for 5 million of your transfer budget, it's an absolute no-brainer. And I actually have to say, when I put the poll out, I was quite surprised with how many people sort of said yes, they would take him, because normally with any transfer, it's a lot closer.
Yeah.
And especially because it's
generally it's kind of split opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a City player that people are kind of arguing, you know, not that it splits opinion, but it's a City player who people are saying, well, he hasn't done that well at City, you know, and that's why City are willing to let him go. So why would we want them? But, you know, he's proved, so especially in the last couple of games, you know, he's a proven goal scorer. So I'd be more than happy to take him. Barry saying Jesus would be a decent player for us, but we should not, or should we not be thinking or looking for more or better? Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was actually what the wording of my poll that I put out was, that we would be happy to take him as sort of, not so, well, backup as such, but, you know, we would still want somebody else. And that kind of leads us on to the next rumour that has been going about, and that is Victor Ostermann, the Nigerian forward who plays for Napoli, who we were linked with before he went to Napoli. Obviously, there was that sort of thing with, I think he was in Lille, possibly. Yeah. Another one there. Did one season there, went to Napoli for quite big money, and we had been linked to him at the time. And now, obviously, we're back linked to him again. De Laurentiis at Napoli is rumoured to be wanting 100 million plus, 100 million euro plus for him, which is, you're talking sort of 80 million quid. He's a good goal scorer. Is he worth 80 million? I don't know. What's your thoughts? What's your feelings on Ostermann? Would you be happy to see him at Arsenal?
You know what makes me laugh about these Italian teams? Yeah, they want to sign players for peanuts. You know, they come in with these ridiculous bids for Premier League proven players, for international players. You know, they come in with these 2-year loan and then like paying installments over the next 25 years to get a player. And then the price tags that they slap on their prized assets is just crazy. Now, Ostermann is a really, really good striker. I'd be happy, you know, if we, you know, signed him. I'm thrilled that when I look at the caliber of strikers that Arsenal are rumored to be targeting, you know, it's music to my ears. You know, obviously the whole Vlahovic deal didn't go through in January, but the fact that we were pushing so hard for him, you know, it should fill Arsenal fans with optimism. And the fact that, you know, we're going for players like Ostermann, you know, Darwin Núñez, and we're being linked with these players. Obviously, these players are kind of part of our A list, our elite list. Obviously, I know, you know, Edu and Cole, Mikel Arteta are going to have contingency plans. But yeah, he's a top player. He's a top player. If you watch him, and to be fair, I've not watched a huge amount in terms of him, you know, over 90 minutes and stuff. But when I have watched him, he's exciting. You know, he's one of those attacking players. He's dynamic. You know, he's quick. He's strong. He's got all the, you know, standout attributes to play in the Premier League. In terms of like dealing with the league, the pace of the league, the physicality of the league. So he's definitely a player. You know, I've always said that I'm not massively convinced by any of the strikers that, you know, we're linked with. And the reason why I say that, not that I'm saying none of them are good enough, it's just that I don't think any of them are the complete forward in terms of, you know, what they could bring to the club and what they could bring to the team. But having said that, I've also got, you know, been quoted as saying, you know, Henry wasn't, Viltod wasn't, Kanu wasn't. You know, we've signed many strikers where there have been massive question marks over them, but yet they've gone on to be absolute club legends. So I'd be pretty happy with Arsenal signing pretty much anyone in terms of a striker for the club, because I feel like when I look over even the games that we lost, when you look at the number of chances we created, I honestly feel like as long as we can sign a competent striker, I think they will get goals in this Arsenal side. So Ostermann for me will be, you know, one of the players at the top of the list. I'm happy we're linked. From what I've heard, that real concrete contact has been made. Obviously, the price tag, is going to be a bit of a sticky point because the Italian clubs are going to push hard for what they want. And it all depends on, obviously, how that deal can be structured, how much we actually have to spend, because, let's face it, it's not just the strike force that we need to sort out this summer. And if we do sign Gabriel Jesus, then, we do need an additional striker, because at the end of the day, whether Eddie or Laka stay or go, I want them to both go. We are in need of two strikers. So yeah, you know what? I've said before, I'm not going to really lose sleep over the price tag. If Arsenal stump up the 80 million and we get Ostermann to sign, then I'm all for it. I think he could be an absolute hit in the Premier League. But I think, like every transfer, there's an element of risk involved. You just have to look at the Pepe deal at 72 million. But at the end of the day, he definitely is, the caliber and category of striker that, one, we should be linked with, and two, I'm glad we're linked with. So let's hope it can materialize. If not him, someone, similar in terms of ability, like Darwin Núñez. And yeah, let's get these two strikers so we can start firing next season. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's funny you're saying there, obviously, with the caliber of forwards being linked to you. And actually, when I was putting this show together earlier on, I started doing a little bit of research into some of the strikers that we have been linked with. Not ones we're necessarily going to talk about tonight, but ones we have been linked with. And with the exception of Núñez, who's obviously having a phenomenal season at Benfica, there's a couple of running themes. Newcastle are all of a sudden being linked with all the same players.
Yeah.
But secondly, and more importantly, none of them are actually 20+ goals a season strikers.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised at that. One of my personal favourites, and I kind of thought when I seen the price tag for Ostermann, I thought, yes, he's a brilliant player. Happily take him. But for the money, well, actually for less money, you could get Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Who's actually got a better goal scoring record than Ostermann.
Yeah.
And then I went into a breakdown of his goals. And actually, yes, he does have a slightly better goal scoring record. But again, he's not getting you 20+ a season.
No.
So there are so few strikers out there that will get you 20+.
The striker market's not great.
No.
Like, we talk about these kind of names, Jesus and Ostermann and Darwin Núñez, but the market it's not great. Like, Darwin Núñez has done it this season, but he's doing it this season, and he's doing it in the Portuguese league. So there's an element of risk with that. Is he going to be able to transition from the Portuguese league to the Premier League? Better players at his ability where he is now have come and failed. So there literally is no guarantee. And like you say, when you look at the market and the players that we're linked with, not many of them are hitting 20+. My only thing is, like I said at the beginning of the show, I feel as though the amount of chances that we create in this team, I feel like if we sign a competent striker, I just can't help but feel like they will easily hit 20 goals in all comps. But only time will tell, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, for me, definitely the Premier League now is the hardest league. It used to be, in terms of, players scoring goals, Italy would have been the hardest one because the Italian defenders were always the best defensive, in the world. But now I actually think English defenses are much tougher. They're not as good as they used to be, but in terms of world football, they're tougher than probably any of the other leagues, which makes goal scoring hard.
And you know what else it is as well? Like, it's a valid point about defenses getting better, but it's also the fact that very few teams in the Premier League will dominate games for 90 minutes, week in, week out. Yes, you've got Liverpool. Yes, you've got City. But you take those two teams aside, anyone can pretty much beat anybody. And so, if you're playing for the likes of Juventus or whatever it is, or top team in Italy, or just say, for example, you're playing for Bayern Munich, for a fact, Bayern Munich are going to win 85% of all their games. And they're going to dominate, if not more than that. Whereas in the Premier League, you've just seen it with Arsenal. We've gone on a 3-game losing streak and played the likes of Palace, Brighton, and Southampton, but then taken apart Chelsea and United. It's just so unpredictable. So No player in European football, no matter how good they are or how much potential they have, is going to come into the Arsenal side and just get goals. It's not going to come that easy. Like it's difficult.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, if you look at it, an interesting stat. Even one of the players who's considered one of the greatest of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
It's taken him 18.5 years to score 100 goals in England. I thought he was supposed to be good.
Same. I thought he was the GOAT.
Yeah, 18.5 years for 100 goals.
You know what I mean?
Seemed like a good return. Anyway, Gary's in the chat. Evening, Gary. How are you? So listen, right, the last transfer rumor that I want to touch on tonight, and these are all just, we're only talking briefly about some of these. We will go into the more detail on transfer rumors once we obviously hit the end of the season and we start running our Monday night rumor mill show, which I'm really looking forward to. Because I love the drama of the transfer rumors.
We love it, man. We love it.
Yeah, it's better than EastEnders. It really is. So the last one then is someone we were linked to last summer, and that was Tammy Abraham, who obviously went off to play for Mourinho at Roma. And I think it was around about £35 million move.
Yep.
So again, we're being linked with Tammy. He's scored 16, I think it is, this season.
He scored 16 in Serie A, but he's got 24 overall in the season.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. 24 in I think 40 odd games.
Okay. Now, breaking news today was that then Roma are potentially looking €80 million for him.
Oh Lord!
Which again, you could have Lautaro Martinez for that.
Yeah.
You're slightly short of what you would pay for Ostermann. Would you really stump up that sort of money for Tammy Abraham? Personally, for me, no. I don't rate him. I don't think he never did it when he was in England. He did it in the lower leagues, but not on the top level. So I don't think there's anything to say that he would come back just because he's banged a few in Italy. That he's going to come back here and suddenly be, this wonderful, all-conquering English striker that people would want. Yeah. So for me, it's a no. I'll come straight out with that and say. But what's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I got nothing against Tammy Abraham, and if those of you who are new to the channel, we did a stream on some transfers last. I think it was earlier on in this season, maybe even last season when we were linked with him. And I went online and called him a bootleg Andy Cole. And to be honest, like it was a bit harsh. It was a bit harsh, but I was having a bit of banter. I wouldn't necessarily say he's that bad. At the same time, I don't rate him. I still don't think 24 goals in 46 games in Serie A, which for me, I think if you watch Serie A football, it's probably at its worst that it's been for as long as I can remember. It's not the same league it was when I was watching it, on a black and white TV, Football Italia on a Sunday. It's not the same league it was when you had the likes of Milan and Juve winning Champions League, etc. I think he's gone there. I commend him for going there. It must not have been an easy move. He wanted game time. He got it. £35 million transfer. To be fair, in this market, probably was an okay deal for Roma. He's definitely come up trumps and scored 20 plus goals, and I think that's all you can ask for a striker. But in terms of an 80 million price tag for Tammy Abraham, that is just daylight robbery. I can't see any team in the world paying that kind of money for Tammy Abraham. And if they did, good luck to them. Because I know I've often said it's not my money. I'm not going to stress about money that isn't mine. But if Arsenal stump up 80 million for him, then yeah, we seriously need to question Mikel Arteta and Edu's faculties, because that doesn't make any sense. Given the fact that it looked as though he was actually waiting out or holding out for a move to Arsenal before that transfer went through to Roma. So yeah, Tammy Abraham's doing well in Italy, and good for him. I wish him all the best, but I don't see him. I don't necessarily want him in an Arsenal shirt, and I don't see him in an Arsenal shirt because I can't really fathom or give any rationale as to why we would spend more than the 35 million that Roma paid for him. So yeah, it's a no from me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I know you're saying 24 goals, but 8 of those were in the Europa Conference League.
Yeah.
So you
really
kind
and
of have to
truly
sort of bear that in
16.
mind. The quality of opposition in there, it's, the Europa Conference League it's amateur football clubs.
Yeah.
You've got Roma, probably one of the biggest clubs in there. You look at the amateur clubs in it, like Spurs.
Yeah,
couldn't
exactly.
even get out of the group stage. So, yeah, I mean, you've got to look at the quality of that opposition. You've also got to, again, you've got to look at the quality of the league in Italy. And I'm not sure. I know he has scored a couple against some of the bigger clubs like Juventus and stuff, but if you look at who he's scoring against, some of them teams in Italy are, they're very poor. The Italian league is, you have your sort of elite 6 clubs.
Yep.
And it is very much they will win week in, week out, and it's not as competitive as the Premier League. So, like I say, I just can't see him coming back and hitting the ground running and being that 20 to 30 goal a season striker that he can be in Italy. I think the Italian league suits him.
Yeah, I think Chelsea got the first refusal on him as well. I think they've got some kind of clause. I can't remember what it is. Maybe you'll remember.
It's 80 million. Basically, they can buy him back for 80 million euro.
Okay.
Which is now what rumours are saying that that's the least they'll let him go for, because if Chelsea wanted him back, that's what they'd have to pay. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. What do you guys in the chat think? Would you take any of Jesus, Ostermann, or Tammy Abraham? And obviously, if you're watching this later on, or you're watching this for the next couple of days, drop your thoughts in the comments down below, and let us know what you think. Because you know what, it's always interesting to hear what fans have to say.
Definitely.
And we know everybody has a difference of opinion, and we've seen that last summer. Especially last summer. A lot of sort of people were saying no. A lot of those signings we were going for, there was a lot of split opinion over those signings, and for the most part, we've kind of been proved wrong. Those people that didn't want them, and those people that did want them have been proved right. So have your say, let your feelings be known. Okay, so we'll go on to the United game then, and because it's just you and me tonight, we can do a little bit more in depth. Normally we have more people on, so we kind of been keeping it more of an overview, so we can do a little bit more in depth tonight. So I'm going to start off, bring up the team. So obviously the team news came out. Ramsdale, Cedric White, Gabriel, Tavares, Elneny, 34, Saka, Odegaard, captain in the team, ESR, and Nketiah. Not really, pretty much the same team as the game before against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Happy enough with the lineup when you seen it?
Yeah, 100%. I was more than happy with the lineup. I even tweeted and said that, that lineup makes a lot of sense based on the performance against Chelsea. I think the only real change was Cedric in for holding. Obviously, Ben White going back to the central defence and Cedric playing out on the right. And to be honest, that made perfect sense, because I think out of all the defenders, it wasn't, the Chelsea game wasn't a masterclass in defending. It was a masterclass in poor defending from both sides. However, particularly in the first half, I thought Holding grew into the game, but particularly in the first half, he struggled. He really did struggle. And there didn't seem to be, well, from what I saw, I think I might have missed it, but there didn't seem to be much of an explanation as to why Cedric didn't play. So I think I was pretty surprised that he didn't play. Obviously, we're hoping Tommy gets back. He's in full training, so hopefully he gets back ASAP. But yeah, bringing in Cedric made perfect sense for me into that defense. Tavares, I'm always going to have my concerns with Tavares because he's a bit hit and miss at the moment. I'm sure we'll get into that. At the same time, I'm happy to see that Arteta is playing a left back. Given our shortcomings in midfield, this notion of playing Xhaka at a left back is just please don't. It just does not need to happen. So it was good that Tavares came in, really good, obviously. we'll talk about obviously the goals and that. But yeah, El Neni and Xhaka in the midfield made perfect sense again, based on the fact that we have limited resources in the midfield, but based on the fact that they both had really good games against Chelsea. And yeah, the rest of the team was pretty much what I expected. I think it's always a bit of a toss-up between Martinelli and ESR. If I see Martinelli's name, I'm happy. If I see ESR's name, I'm happy. I'm happy for the two to interchange. Some weeks ESR, some weeks Martinelli, bring them on as a sub, etc. Saka is pretty much undroppable at the moment because Pepe's not doing nothing and Arteta quite clearly don't fancy him. And Nketiah deserved to keep his place. He came on, he scored 2 goals. I think he actually matched Lacazette's goal tally for the season, scoring those 2 goals against Chelsea. So, it was a bit of a no-brainer to play him. He had a good game against Chelsea and he clearly knows where the goal is. He's not the answer long term, but if he can hit a scoring form at the money end of the season, then he could inadvertently, propel us to top 4. So yeah, I was more than happy with the team. I think it made a lot of sense after that Chelsea game.
Okay. I mean, obviously, you and Lee did the review show for the Chelsea game, so I never really got to have my say on that. And just to very quickly sort of sum that one up, I kind of felt it was a good result, but I don't think the performance was particularly good. I think defensively we were quite lax. I think, as you said, Holding didn't have a great game. I think I know 34 got a lot of praise for his performance. I actually thought he was quite poor over the first sort of 10, 15 minutes. Turned his back on the shot for the first goal. It was kind of, I was like, where's this heart that he goes on about, when he's turning his back to the ball. So there was issues there, and obviously not just those 2, but there were others. I didn't think it was a great performance overall. I think we got the result and we deserved the result. Yeah. Because I don't think Chelsea turned up. I think Chelsea kind of had this idea that they're better than us, they should beat us.
Yeah.
And
performance from Chelsea.
Yeah, it was a poor performance. It was a poor performance from us, but it was a poor performance from Chelsea, if that makes sense.
Good way of summing it up, yeah.
I don't, as I say, I watched the game and I didn't come off it thinking, wow, that was a breathtaking, wonderful performance to beat them 4-2. I was like, that was a good win.
Yeah.
That we needed, and hopefully we can get some confidence from that and kick on. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right in terms of what you're saying in terms of the changes in the lineup. Holding dropping out, Cedric coming in. Now, Holding really grew into that game.
He did
against Chelsea. But
second half, he was solid.
I think the fact that we've worked so hard on doing this 4-3-3 system to try and change to a back, a 5, and you seen very quickly that we changed away from the 5 against Chelsea. Yeah, and went back to the 4, and Ben White moved out to the right. I think it sort of showed that we're not comfortable playing as a 5 at the minute.
Yeah.
And it's obviously not something that Arteta is necessarily working a lot on in training.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going back to the 4 with Cedric coming in, the balance of the team was better.
Yeah.
And El Neni keeping his place. I mean, for me, arguably, and we'll talk a wee bit more about them, but for me, in the 2 games, when we talk about that combination of El Neni and 34 in the middle, for me, El Neni combined over the 2 games was the better player.
Yeah.
Arguably, 34 had a better game against United.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at the levels of the 2 performances for the full 90 minutes of both games, El Neni was the better player of the 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, and a lot of the time as well, it's like, obviously with the United game, I thought they were both good against Chelsea and United. And it's kind of like you touched upon, like the beginning, obviously mistakes being made. I thought the first kind of 10, 15 minutes before we actually scored the goal, I thought we were awful. You mentioned, El Neni looked really rusty, Holding looked shaky, Xhaka gave the ball away. Even when Eddie scored 2 goals, he gave away possession for one of the goals to be conceded. So yeah, it wasn't a great performance, but in that game, for once, we can say we were clinical because we were. When we got chances, we actually put the ball in the back of the net. And yeah, it wasn't a fantastic performance, but like you said, Chelsea were poor. We were poor, but Chelsea were poorer. So yeah, not bang on. But yeah, El Neni, I tell you, he's a funny one. You know, I'm sure we'll discuss him a lot more between now and the end of the season, and particularly end of the season, because obviously he's out of contract. You know, he's one of the players that, for me, regardless of how he's played in the last 2 games, if we make the signings I want us to make, he is a player I want to leave the club. I'm not going to get sentimental based on 2 performances across the season. But yeah, you know what I mean? You got to give credit where credit's due. You know, he's not played this year, and he's come in and he's put in 2 solid performances. And after the Chelsea game, really and truly, you know, I know Partey is ahead of schedule in terms of fitness, but if he doesn't come back before the end of the season, I see no reason why we should drop El Neni between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. And it's funny you're saying that, because obviously, you know, he is out of contract at the end of the season. And
yeah,
I know it's something we're going to be looking at doing for the end of season review.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've seen my squad for next season already.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You know, he's not in there.
Yeah.
He's not in there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The other one I just sort of want to touch on, just in terms of this lineup then, was Smith Rowe.
Yes.
And I think, I mean, I've said it before, and as you coined the phrase earlier on the record, of saying something, I'm on the record quite openly of saying that for me, Smith Rowe at the minute is a better player coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And again, I thought against Chelsea, he was pretty anonymous apart from his goal. And it was a fantastic goal. But other than that, he didn't really do an awful lot in the game. He kind of, you know, he seemed to just drift about and not really do much. So I was a little surprised that Smith Rowe kept his place. I wasn't disappointed, you know. At the end of the day, he needs to be playing games to build up that confidence and to get that ability. But I do think, as I say, he's better as an impact sub coming on against tired legs, you know, because he has that drive where he can take the ball and run past people. And when you've got tired legs, that's the last thing you want, is someone running at you with the ball. So I was a little surprised that he kept his place over Martinelli, but again, as I say, not massively disappointed about it. It was just one of them ones that it could have gone either way. So we'll go to the comments before we start talking about the match. So Barry saying there, Darwin Núñez for him.
Quality player, man. I've been an absolute blinder of a season. My only concern though, Barry, is that obviously we've been linked, but my only concern is that he's having too good a season now. Maybe he's priced us out of a potential signing, but who knows? Who knows?
Let's see where we've got Gio Gunnar. Ethan Gio, how are you? 3-1 it was. Yes. Some money for the charity. Happy days.
Nice.
Lottie B, my favourites. I hope you're talking about me and G.
I hope you're talking about me and Stephen.
And not just Arsenal in general. The guy dropped in at the right time with the ESR. Absolutely. We know you're his biggest fan.
Yeah.
Well, you and Keith, you can share the title. Jamie, even Jamie, dodgy handball given against Laporte, less deliberate than Tavares on Saturday. I'm not watching it.
What's the score? Let us know.
Yeah. Anybody watching? What's the score?
Last I heard, it was 2-0.
Benzema.
Oh, he scored.
And Lottie's going to share the biggest fan of ESR with Keith. All right. So, if someone can drop in the score of the City game for us, that would be great. So we'll move on. Game kicked off.
What?
4-3.
4-3? I left it at 2-0. What? Wow. I need to catch up with the highlights later. Wow.
Jimmy, drop in the goal scorers there.
Where's that being played? Is that being played in Madrid?
No, I think that's in Manchester.
Wow. What a game. Benzema surely's got on a score sheet. Wow.
Yeah, I think he has, sir. Jimmy was saying with a Panenka.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, okay. So, here we go. Is this for 25 million and Tommy for 70 million? Makes no sense. Yeah. No,
I agree.
Bloody sending games to Manchester. So, yes, right. Let's get on. Game kicked off. And it didn't take long for us to get on the score sheet. Ball comes in. I think it was actually 34 played it across.
Yes.
Defender fluffed it a bit.
Yep.
Went to Saka, who turned in on his left foot, hit the shot, curled it towards the far corner. Ederson, no, it wasn't Ederson because it wasn't. It was De Gea because we were playing the other City or the other Manchester team. De Gea got down, saved it well, but just pushed it into Tavares' path, who had kept running, to his credit, kept running into the box, and he had a fairly simple tap home. What did you make of the goal? How are you feeling?
Yeah, so I didn't watch the game because I was at work. But you know, hopefully my boss is not watching. But he was there anyway. He saw I was on my phone. I told him, listen, today is a massive game, and I actually said to him, I don't want to be here. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I've got to be here. So I was literally had my phone out for the whole kind of hour and a half when I was kind of watching it. I was kind of watching the stream, not watching the stream. But yeah, it was brilliant that, you know, we got the goal early. It was poor defending, if I've got to be honest, for Manchester United. I thought that the ball from Xhaka was pretty much a nothing ball. You know, this world-class Varane or Champions League Varane should have cleared it, should have cleared their lines. For whatever reason, it fell, you know, obviously poor defending, it fell to Saka's feet. And Saka did what Saka does. You can never tell whether Saka's going to go down the byline or whether he's going to cut in. And I think that's why it makes it so difficult for defenders when they're defending him, because he can go and he can be effective each and either way. So, yeah, you know, he kind of cut in, took a shot. I kind of thought the game was a bit unfortunate. I thought it was a decent save. But obviously Tavares was in the right place at the right time and he tucked it away quite coolly. Tavares is obviously a player that really does split opinion. And it's a lot of it's to do with the fact that, you know, defending wise is pretty poor, but well, at times pretty poor. But what I do like about Tavares is that offensively, he is a threat. You know, there are times when he gets in the final third and he doesn't necessarily make the right choice. He'll shoot when he should pass. He'll pass when he should shoot, or he don't necessarily release the ball, you know, a second or two earlier than he should. But there's definitely a player there in terms of, like, if you look at his kind of attributes, you know, the physicality, his pace, he's got all of them to be an absolute quality fullback, you know, for Arsenal. I do question his kind of, you know, footballing IQ, his footballing brain. But I think he has the raw talent and ability, that something that Arteta can really work with. And I think Arteta could potentially make him into an absolute baller. But yeah, like a good offensive fullback, he was in the right place at the right time and he tucked it away. And it was an absolute blinding start. It's exactly what we needed, because we knew this game was going to be key. And for me, we had to get at them and get at them early, you know, because I think the longer the game went on, the more their confidence would grow. And I think it would have been a much more closer affair. So yeah, it was brilliant. The fact that we scored so early, I was absolutely thrilled. And I was really happy that Tavares got the goal as well, you know, because like I say, he's come under a lot of criticism. But it was nice for him to get on the goal sheet. And even if you look at his celebration, he messed his celebration up as it is. He actually, I don't know if you saw his celebration, but he went to do a knee slide and he kind of just knee planted the ground and fell over. So it's like, yeah.
I did actually tweet about it at the time.
Yeah. He's just that kind of player. Like, he's just, at the moment, in terms of his Arsenal career, he's so hit and miss. You know, he defends badly, but scores us a vital goal. And then he can't even get a picturesque knee slide, right? So, yeah. But I'm happy he scored the goal. And obviously, taking the lead was crucial in such a big game.
Yeah. I tweeted at the time. You can tell Tavares doesn't score many goals because he completely fluffed the knee slide. So, yeah. It's funny you should mention there about Varane, because there was two things I was thinking back at the end of this game to, you know, sometimes we like to go back and clip extracts from previous shows and put them out to sort of as proof that we've said certain things that have come to light. And there was two things I said about United this season. One was about Varane, which was, without Ramos, he's not the same player.
Yeah, you did.
And I think, and Lottie, I know, has said that as well. She backed me up on that and has said the same thing. But I think that he's proved this season that without Ramos, he is not the same player.
He's been poor.
Yeah.
Poor.
The other thing was, and this was I thought was quite telling, was the fact that right before we played United last time, they announced that Ralph Rangnick was coming in.
Yeah.
And I was on record of saying, I don't rate Ralph Rangnick as a coach. And there's a lot of Arsenal fans who were like, oh, we should have got Rangnick, and I was like,
godfather of German football.
Yeah.
Klopp's what was it? Like Klopp's mentor and all this nonsense.
I said, he's not a good manager. He has not really done very much. He's great in terms of picking out talent.
Yeah.
I haven't actually watched back the show, and I want to watch it back and potentially clip this bit. But I remember saying at the time, I worry about the future with him as a consultant at United because of the caliber of youngsters that they'll be able to bring through.
Yeah.
Because he's got such a good eye for talent.
I remember you saying this.
But in terms of actually being a manager, he's not good.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest with you, United have been better sticking with Ollie.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't got any better for them, and they're in danger. They are in serious danger of not actually even qualifying for Europe.
Yeah.
So I worked it out.
Their new manager has got his work cut out.
Yeah.
Big time.
If Chelsea beat United tomorrow night, I think they play.
I think it's definitely before the weekend.
Yeah. If Chelsea beat United and we beat West Ham on Sunday, then United, we would have to lose every single game, and United would have to win every single game and turn around a 10-goal difference.
Yeah, they're in
for
trouble.
Them to finish above us, which means that theoretically we couldn't finish lower than 5th.
Yeah.
If those two things happen. So if United lose tomorrow night and we beat West Ham at the weekend, theoretically 5th is the lowest we can finish this season.
I'm going to watch that game if I can, because that game's going to be goals galore. Chelsea's defense without Rudiger and Man United's defense with the fridge. It's just going to be a free-for-all.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, I mean, it's a pleasure to see it.
Yeah, it is.
I enjoy watching United fail, but at the same time, it's quite sad to see the fall of such a big club.
Yeah.
And they will come back. There's no doubt about it. They will come back. So, I mean, we've got to bask in the glory of them not doing well for now. But it is, let's say, when you think back to, especially for the likes of yourself and me and people our sort of age, we grew up, with that rivalry with Man United.
Yeah.
And to see two clubs fall so far and having to build themselves back up. Yeah. And we're obviously a lot further ahead now in our rebuilding process than the United are. But it's been quite sad to see.
Yeah. I had this conversation with quite a few United fans, like guys I've grown up from way back, and just saying how, how much sometimes I have to kind of pinch myself when I look at the Premier League table. Just kind of, just how much the landscape of English football's changed. It's just crazy, because like you said, growing up with the rivalry was, even for people like myself, growing up in Southeast London, it was you supported United or you supported Arsenal, and it was Arsenal winning or it was United winning. And yeah, obviously, the introduction of Abramovich, and obviously, the sheikhs at City and obviously, Liverpool, the emergence with Klopp and so forth. The whole landscape of English football is it's unrecognizable, to what it was. But it is what it is. Hopefully we are on the way back. I think it's going to be a couple of seasons before they are. But yeah, it is crazy how much the Premier League has changed from when we were growing up.
Right, let's fire through some of these comments and then we'll move on to the next goal. Lottie saying they've been poor for a while, though. Yeah, I mean, they have. That's what we're just sort of discussing there. Jamie, Kevin De Bruyne, Jesus, Benzema, then halftime, then Foden, Vinicius Jr., Bernardo Silva, Benzema, got a penalty, and then 4 minutes plus stoppages left. I imagine that's over now. Danny Ceballos came on for Modric.
Oh, gosh.
Earlier. Barry United are so bad and it's so good to watch. It is good, but it's also, as I say, to me, it's a little sad at the same time. I miss that rivalry.
Yeah.
I do miss that rivalry with them. Nothing's ever fun when it's easy.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's kind of my philosophy in life. If something becomes too easy, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
So, whilst yes, I always want to beat United, I want competitive games. I want that fiery sort of atmosphere. And
having said that, though, I want a couple easy seasons. I think we've been through too much. I want a few. I'd love a few non-competitive, league-winning, Champions League winning seasons.
Fair enough. All right. No looks at the fact Nuno was a winger before we bought him. This is the second season as a fullback. A lot to learn. G isn't wrong. Don't get to your head. Who's had the better season, White or Varane? I mean,
White.
Ben White, definitely.
And I don't even think he's been exceptional, but
no, I was going to say the same thing. Again, when you see my team for next season, might be a few surprises in there.
Yeah.
Varane is nothing without Ramos, and Ronaldo free for all, I reckon, for the Chelsea game. I really hope it's not. I really hope Ronaldo has a terrible game.
Yeah, I want it to be a ding-dong 5-5 draw.
Yeah, I just don't want Ronaldo to score because I'm still in the Cannon Chatter Cup on the fantasy football. The guy I'm up against, I am 17 points ahead of him this week.
Okay.
And we both have one player playing in that game.
Yeah.
So he has Ronaldo and I have Thiago.
Okay.
Thiago Silva.
You need Ronaldo to have a mare.
So I need Ronaldo to have an absolute mare so he doesn't turn around that deficit because I want to stay in the cup. You'd be bored if it was all easy.
Yeah.
Nothing to rant about. I guess. So listen, we'll move on. So the next thing was Saka getting a penalty on 31 minutes. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, so that was the situation where Saka, obviously the ball came to Saka, he beat his man, and that was the situation where obviously it fell to Eddie and Eddie put it away, scored the goal. Now, I've seen this a couple of times, and it's kind of hard to judge whether or not Eddie was actually in an offside position or whether that decision was correct. For me, from what I've seen, the goal should have stood. I kind of hoped that the goal had stood because it would have meant that Eddie yet again had got on the score sheet. And I think scoring 2 against Chelsea, 1 against United. Like I said, as much as I don't think Eddie's the answer, I really want a flurry of Eddie goals between now and the end of the season because I've always said if we can get a striker to score 4 or 5 goals in the last 8 games, we hit top 4, in my opinion. But yeah, Saka won the penalty. For me, it was a penalty. I wouldn't say it was one of those where I've seen this season. I think VAR's been, dare I say it, okay with us over the last 2 games. I've seen penalties like that not been given. We've seen it, watching Arsenal this season. There are times when our players have been brought down in the box, Mortal Kombat style, and we've not actually got penalties. So it was a kind of shove in the back. Obviously, knocked him off balance. The ball fell to Eddie. Eddie put it away. So I kind of wish the goal had stood. It didn't, but nevertheless, Saka got up and converted the penalty. I don't know if you've seen this clip, but because I didn't watch the game, I wasn't privy to what had happened. But Saka was actually standing to take the penalty, and McTominay knocked the ball out of Saka's hand. And I thought, obviously he's doing whatever he can do to put him off. And I think what's so brilliant about Saka is he just laughed it off. He put the ball down on the spot and he buried it. And he's now scored, after obviously what was a horrendous situation and scenario in the Euros, he stepped up and taken penalties against Chelsea and United, who both arguably have very good world-class goalkeepers. and he's put them both away. But I just think a different another player with a different kind of mindset or attitude that could have really affected how they took that penalty, or he could have reacted in a bad way, in a negative way. And I think personally, that's what the action was. It wanted to get a reaction. It wanted to get a response. It wanted to kind of, knock him off his stride, but he didn't, and I think it just epitomizes the kind of player he is. So yeah, he slotted the penalty away, and that was that. So yeah, absolutely thrilled, because I think at that point, that puts us 2-0 up. And I was thinking at the time that, this is pretty much game, set, match at 2-0. Obviously, there was a lot of games still to be played, but I was thinking a 2-goal lead at this point in the match, with the United defense as bad as it is and has been all season, I could see us going on to get 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it was really good. But yeah, happy that Saka obviously scored the penalty, and I thought at this point in the game that the floodgates might open. But yeah.
Okay. You're just saying there obviously about the McTominay thing. I don't know if you've seen the same clip. If you actually look in the background, you can see Sancho and one of the other United players trying to box in Eddie Nketiah, and he just takes a step back and walks around the side of Sancho to the other side of him, and Sancho's looking down at the feet going, where'd he go? It's hilarious. But yes, I mean, for me, the penalty, Saka, definitely massive set of cojones on him for the last couple of games, stepping up, and he's actually the first teenager to score penalties in 2 games in a row in the Premier League.
Okay, nice.
Now, what I would say is, what's that?
I said he's breaking all kinds of records every week now.
I mean, I have to give him. I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments out at the same time. You do have to give him credit for stepping up and taking them. I have to say, and again, this is me being hypercritical at the minute. The penalty against Chelsea was actually the exact same penalty he hit in the Euros. Yeah. And if anything, it was a poor penalty. He was fortunate. He was fortunate the keeper went the other way. I agree. Because where he put it, if the keeper had gone the right way, the keeper would have saved that.
Yeah. It was a good height and it was a good place.
Yeah. It was perfect place for the keeper. If the keeper had gone the right way, he would have saved it. So it could have been a completely different story. Albeit in the context of the game, we would have still won the game against Chelsea. But for Saka's confidence, it could have really hurt him. The one on Saturday against United, he dispatched that with class. Yeah. Went the other way, went into the bottom corner. And the funny thing was, De Gea went the other way. Yeah. So obviously De Gea had looked and seen where the last penalties had gone, and knew exactly what. Because if you looked at where he dived at that exact spot where the ball had gone in the last 2 penalties. So fair play to Saka for stepping up and taking it and having the balls to try it differently. Yeah. All right, we'll quickly get the comments. We're about to Jamie. Triple Chelsea and Mount TC for me, Stephen. That's obviously in terms of fantasy football. Gio Aspie was fuming. He was. I think that was the Chelsea game. Yeah, when he brought down Saka.
He was having it out with the Chelsea fans.
Yeah. Lottie, I'm sure I sent my recording over the penalty. You did, yes. And I forgot when I was putting this together. We could have actually played that. When we try and play that another night. Matt, hello all. Sorry I'm late to the party. No worries, Matt. Good to have you with us. McTominay behaved like a child. We should have won that game. Little what's it? What's it's are good things. Don't mock what's it's. Or we'll get into another crisp debate. Matt, credit to Saka, 2 penalties in 2 valid games, and rival fans trying their best to put him off. Bet he's been working on them in training. Yeah, he just needs to not work on putting that same penalty. Yeah. It was Sancho and Telles. GF tweeted it earlier.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, have a look at it. Okay, so we'll move on from there, and obviously, pretty much as soon as we scored, Ronaldo went up the other end, pulled one back, which meant we went at half time. It was 2-1. It was kind of happy we were ahead, but I was a little bit worried that it wasn't quite as easy and quite as comfortable. And I kind of was left sitting with that same sort of feeling that I had against Chelsea, where it was good that we were winning, but wasn't massively impressed with the overall performance. I thought it was a better performance than against Chelsea, but I don't think it was a wonderful performance. It certainly wasn't sitting there going, yeah, this is, we're blowing them apart. This is the best performance I've seen all season. It was a workmanlike performance, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know, sir, how you were feeling at halftime.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling confident. I think that the Ronaldo goal definitely changed like kind of my feeling, my emotion, my perspective of how the rest of the game would potentially go. I was very keen. They always say when you score a goal, you got to keep it tight. Next 5-10 minutes, you got to keep it tight. Don't concede. And the fact that the boost we would have got, and the boost we would have got going into halftime at 2-0, and the morale in the United team dropping going in at 2-0, I think that game would have been cut and dry. It would have been done at 2-0 at halftime, because the morale in this United team is rock bottom. You might as well call them Ronaldo FC, because without Ronaldo, they're not doing anything this season. They've not done anything this season, even with the greatest player, arguably one of the greatest players of all time. But yeah, I was definitely feeling nervy at halftime, and wasn't too sure how the next 45 minutes was going to go. So yeah, that game very much did change. My confidence kind of brought my feet on the ground a little bit ahead of the second half. So yeah, it was going to be interesting to see how the rest of the game went. But yeah, at that point, I was feeling quite nervy about the result.
Okay. We then obviously went into the second half, and I thought we were quite nervy, sort of in the second half.
Yeah.
I didn't think we looked wonderful. And Chelsea, United for me were starting to get back into it. And obviously they got a penalty, which Ronaldo I thought would have taken, but apparently he missed the last one. So United's rules are that it goes on to the next penalty taker once you've missed one. And obviously up stepped Bruno Fernandes, and did his silly. See these run-ups that they do where they're stopping and jumping and I don't know, doing wee spins and pirouettes and all sorts of stuff. Whatever happened to just run up and smack your foot through the ball.
Just either run up, smack the ball, or one step hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But anyway, he hit the post.
Yeah.
And not to be the celebration police, but Ramsdale celebrated like we just won the Champions League right in Fernandez's face. And do you know what? I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Brilliant. Listen, that was a very, very pivotal moment in that game. If that penalty goes in at that stage of the game, I'm obviously as an Arsenal fan, I'm supporting the team, till the end. But if that penalty goes in at that point, as an Arsenal fan, you're thinking, United are probably favourites to win this game. Because the momentum swing would have swung in their way. Because like you said, we didn't come out in the second half, the way we had played in patches in the first half. And I think a lot of that was to do with the fact that we'd gone into the halftime at 2-1. That goal by Ronaldo was a massive lifeline for them, changed the whole complex of the game. So yeah, at that point, that was really nervy. I'm glad he missed. Fernandes is one of those players that I'm not a massive fan of. I just something about him I kind of just dislike, probably because he plays for United. But yeah, he missed it. That's all that matters. He didn't score. And yeah, Ramsdale celebrated and too right. Do you know what I mean? I think for too long as a club, and as a group of players, we've been too nice. We've been too nice. We've been too gentlemanly. And teams have come and just walked all over us and bullied us and just made a laughing stock of us. So it's about time, we fire back and we just become, that team that people don't like, because you know what? When people don't like you, it means you're doing something right. I've always said that. If you got no haters, then you're not doing anything right. So no, it was good. It was good, and I think Ramsdale's definitely brought that into this Arsenal side. He's kind of brought that passion, and he's brought that, just that bit of nastiness that the opposition don't like. I think he's come under a bit of criticism most recently with his performances. But to be fair, I just think when you look at the reflection of the season, I just think he's had an absolutely brilliant first season for Arsenal. There are going to be times, he's still a young goalkeeper, his game's still developing. I think there are going to be times when he does make mistakes. But I've not forgotten the week in, week out performances that single-handedly won us games. I've just not forgotten them. So yes, I will criticize his performances, but I've not forgotten some of the saves that he pulled off in the beginning of the season when, defensively we were poor, and it seemed like the only thing that was stopping us from conceding goals was, the man wall of Ramsdale. So I'm, give him a bit of a what do they call it? I don't know, reprieve. He's not in great form, although he did pull off a couple of good saves in this match. But yeah, I just love his attitude, and I just love the fact that he takes joy in winding up the opposition. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right in what you say. His form has sort of dropped a little. Yeah. His distribution has dropped off a little.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, there was some lovely passes he did the other day, and he has that, he has that ability to distribute the ball well, to pick a pass. He just has not been, for me, he's not been quite as good. There's been mistakes there, and you're right, he's a young goalkeeper and he'll learn. But yeah, absolutely, his shithousery, for want of a better term, is just absolutely fantastic.
It's brilliant.
And you know what? When you see pundits and ex-players and stuff coming out and complaining about it, you just go, yeah, that's all right. I'm perfectly good with that, because you know what? We know when the pundits are complaining about us and hating on us, it's because we're doing well.
100%.
So you know what? If that's what the pundits want to complain about, fair play. Let them crack on. We'll take it all day long, because it means we're doing something right. It means we're starting to win games. We're starting to look like a team that might go somewhere. So yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic to see. And I loved every second of it. It was the same way. It's not actually something I've sort of lined up to talk about tonight. Was Arteta, when it came to the actual awarding of Saka's penalty and stuff. It was the same thing, him going over and the whole arms up and hand gesture and behind the referee's back, and I'm clearly making the referee know that he can see, and that and then Paul Scholes coming out and going, "Oh, Arteta's a disgrace," trying to. It's like, hold on, you played for Sir Alex Ferguson, who was the main architect of doing that sort of thing. The cheek to come out and say Arteta's a disgrace when you played under Fergie. Absolute joke.
Fergie would literally look at the linesman and be like, listen, you better put 10 minutes injury time. Even so much so, they called it Fergie time. Imagine, they renamed injury time, extended time, Fergie time, because they knew if you was playing at Old Trafford or you was playing Man United period, you were going to get a minimum of about 7 minutes. And lo and behold, Man United were going to score either a late equalizer or a winner. So yeah, how he could have the audacity to come out and criticize Arteta having played under Alex Ferguson, and taking nothing away from Ferguson, probably the greatest manager to ever manage in the Premier League. But come on, Fergie literally had the officials and opposition managers on the ropes for his entire career. So how he could come out and say that is beyond me.
All right, we'll go on to some of these comments before we'll have to go on to what I feel is a touchy subject, which is the next one. Lottie, I can't swear on screen.
Bobby's not watching today.
Yeah, I know. Barry Tavares, if he can attack, he can learn how to defend. KC, the man, teach him and attack. KC? Do you mean KT, or am I missing something here?
I think Katie, yeah. I think he's
Yeah, he nearly injured himself. Matt, trying to be a smarty pant was Bruno, much like Jorginho does. Any small minor advantage to score a pen, they take it. Was listening to the Arsenal commentary. Ramsdale has not saved the penalty yet for Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, that was the thing about it was he didn't even save that penalty, and look how he celebrated.
Yeah, I know. Imagine when he saves one.
Not just him, but the other players as well.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Ramsdale is he has that energy and that passion, and that transmits to the other players on the pitch.
Yeah, it's needed. It's needed.
You know, so you do have to give him credit for that. And Barry again, Varane with Ramos, some pair of Varane is now playing with Harry Maguire, who's not good enough for Spurs. Absolutely. Right. As you say, I hope Bobby's not watching this at the minute. I know he'll watch it back. So, Bobby, this is for you. 34. Granit Xhaka. I still don't buy into the whole hype. But do you know what? I have to give him credit. I thought he had a good game on Saturday. I certainly think he had a better game on Saturday than he did on Wednesday night against Chelsea.
Stephen is praising Granit Xhaka. I think my heart's about to give in.
Right. So anyway, you're back on Thursday night with a review of or preview for the West Ham game, and that's all, folks. Good night.
Oh, mate.
Do you know what? He did. He had a good game. And he hit this goal well, or this shot well for the goal. The thing that really, do you know what? I know, all joking aside, I'm not the only person that gives 34 a lot of stick. There are a lot of people out there. It doesn't mean I'm negative. It doesn't mean I'm toxic. It just means I don't particularly happen to rate him. And that's my opinion. And I'm entitled to that opinion. And I can back it up all day long if anybody wants to come on and debate it, as I did with Bobby last week. I debated it in a fair and calm manner. I put my points across. And I won. Anyway.
Yeah, Mr. Statistics. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't disagree, to be fair. I can't disagree.
You can't beat statistics when you want them. Facts are there. Anyway, so I'm not the only person says, we can upgrade on him. I don't rate him. I think we can do better. But he did well.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that I had messaging me, like in my DMs and friends and stuff, what have you got to say now? And it's like, what? He had a good game. Well, I'm not going to knock him. I'm going to say he had a good game. Just because, because he had a good game, though, doesn't mean I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It just means he had a good game.
Yeah.
It doesn't change my opinion that, I suddenly want him to stay and be the leader of the team. He's not a captain, but that's my opinion. So, anyway, took the shot well. I deliberately picked this picture because there was a little bit of controversy over it in terms of, was Eddie Nketiah offside? And you're obviously looking at that picture and you see how far around De Gea has to sort of turn his body to look. So, he's seen it late, so it was hard for him to get down for it. But at the same time, Lindelof is in his line of sight as well. And I think that's why it wasn't offside, was because Lindelof was there. So we kind of we got a bit fortunate with the goal.
Yeah.
But it was a massive goal in the context of the game because it killed the game off. United's heads dropped completely after that. And it was such an important goal. And do you know what? For all my criticism of him, it was great to see him chipping in with his yearly strike. He gets us one goal a year and he's got it now. And next week he'll be back to his usual self. So that's as much praise as I can give. Oh, gee, you talk about him now for a bit.
All right, listen. Xhaka, boom. He scores a worldie every season. Like you said, he does. Do you know what I mean? Like, if in a season, there's always going to be a Xhaka, top bin super strike somewhere in there. I wish he did it, more often, because he could definitely strike a ball, 100%. There was some controversy about this goal, and I've heard that from every single United fan I've either spoken to personally or watched in any kind of YouTube channel or stream since. But to be fair, I don't think there's much to complain about. I think the goal should have stood. I think the right decision was made. But as you said, this goal won the game. 100% this goal won the game. As soon as it went in and we took the 3-1 lead, at that point, I said in my head and my heart, and I felt that this game had been won. Given obviously what had happened in the build-up, to this goal. Obviously taking, 2-1 lead at half time, them fluffing the opportunity to get back into the game, with the penalty for Fernandes. This game, like you say, this goal absolutely killed them. And it gave us the lift and sealed the 3 points that we needed. So yeah, absolutely thrilled that we took the 3-1 lead. It killed the game off completely. And you know what? I'm happy for him. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, everybody knows, people that see me on the streams or see me interacting on Twitter, they know my opinion of Granit Xhaka. They know my opinion of most of the Arsenal squad, or some of the Arsenal squad. It's not personal. It's just an opinion I have on some of the players. When I look at this Arsenal squad, for me, when I look at, if we can sign 2-3 midfielders this summer, then I don't see no reason why, we can't potentially sell him. If we don't sign, 2 or 3 midfielders and we sign a single midfielder, then I can see the likes of El Neni going and Xhaka drop into the bench. While he is in an Arsenal shirt, regardless of what he's done in the past, I'll always support him. Is he a player that I feel in that kind of, left side of the midfield? Is he a player we can upgrade on? Is there a player out there that we can bring in that can do more? 100%. I think we can definitely upgrade on him. But at the end of the day, he's an Arsenal player. He's one of the most experienced players in the team at the moment. And I do feel that he's done an okay job this season. But let's face it, we don't have much more of an option. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. He's had two good games against Chelsea and United. And I hope it continues. May it continue, because I want us to push for top 4. And while I will sit here on streams and say, yeah, I don't want Eddie to stay, I don't want Laka to stay, I don't want, El Nene to stay, I do think we can upgrade, Xhaka. I'll stand by that. Whether they have man of the match performances between now and the end of the season, I'll stand by those opinions, because as far as I'm concerned, all these players have been at the club for a significant amount of time and they've not been able to elevate us. They've not been able to push us, to where we want to go under several managers. So my stance long term is not going to change. But, will I support them? 100%. I want Eddie Nketiah to get 15 goals between now and the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? I want that to happen. At the same time, do I want him to sign a new contract? Hell no. I want him to leave. So, do you know what I mean? It's not personal. And I think sometimes, as Arsenal fans and sections of the Arsenal fan base do take this quite personal. And I understand sometimes why certain sections or certain supporters do, because I think there are fans out there that criticize these players and they are toxic. They are. And their criticism and abuse of these players are toxic. But that's not all fans. It doesn't mean because you have an opinion about a player and you don't particularly rate that player and you don't think that player should be at the club long term, you're not in the same category as somebody who is going to wish, harm on Xhaka or his family, or put a racial comment in Eddie Nketiah's tweet. It's completely different. But I just think
lose.
Or wanting your team to lose. That there are different fans, and there are certain fans out there that are completely toxic against the club, and they say and they do certain things to get a reaction from Arsenal fans. And I think too many Arsenal fans pay those type of fans too much attention. That is something I think even even logical and rational Arsenal fans need to watch in terms of like their interaction, because like, why are you giving these clickbait tweets the attention that they don't deserve? You know, because it's silly, you know, in my opinion. But you know, us as Arsenal fans, me and you, Stephen, yes, we're critical of the players. Yes, we will praise the players, but there is a massive difference between being toxic about players and clubs or your club than actually just having an opinion and actually criticizing players. You know, I don't understand why we want to live in a world where everybody agrees, because that would be absolutely boring. I'm glad that I share my opinions on Twitter, and I'm glad and I welcome people that respond to my tweets and disagree with me, because I hear them out. I listen to them. Sometimes I take on board what they're saying. I share my rationale. I share my logic. And you know what? We have an adult, mature conversation. And that's what it's about. So, you know what? I'm not Xhaka's biggest fan. I'm not Eddie's biggest fan. I'm not Laka's biggest fan. But you know what? I support them while they're in the red or white Arsenal. But do I want them to be at the club long term? No. That doesn't make me a bad person. And that doesn't make them, you know, bad players. It just, for me, in my opinion, it just doesn't make them good enough for Arsenal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have to agree. I mean, and I said the same thing to someone at the weekend, you know, that whilst I don't rate him, you know, in terms of 34, I will always support him while he's wearing that shirt.
That's it.
And I have never once said a bad thing about his family. I've never said a bad thing about him personally. I've only ever criticised his footballing ability and what he did that night against Crystal Palace with the armband. I've, you know, you could watch countless streams where I've said, couldn't care less that he told the fans to F off.
Yeah.
He's perfectly entitled to. Especially after the abuse that he had been taken about his family and stuff like that. And, the, you know, people wishing death and stuff. And it's absolutely disgusting that anybody should ever go through that. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, me saying that I don't rate him doesn't make me a toxic fan.
No, it doesn't.
And it's, you know, it's getting that through to some people. So as I say, I will praise people, and anybody who knows me knows that I will give praise to him when he's due it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had a good game. He did. But I'm still not going to stop calling him 34. Just because it's. Do you know what?
I tell you what, though. Like, I tell you what, Stephen, yeah, there was a point in the weekend, over the weekend and beginning of this week, where I actually felt like tweeting. I actually wrote the tweet out, and I was like, why can't Arsenal fans just be happy? Like, I literally wanted to write the tweet, and I wrote the tweet out, and I thought, you know what? I just don't want to get into it, because I know people are going to comment, and et cetera, et cetera. And to be honest, I didn't want to get into it. And the reason why that is we just beat Chelsea. We just beat United, and I was absolutely buzzing. I wasn't very active on Twitter over the weekend because I worked Saturday, I worked Sunday, and then I had some in-laws. I had a dinner for my mother-in-law because it was her birthday, and then it was straight to work on Monday. So I wasn't massively active, but when I was on Twitter, it's like the results against Chelsea and Man United, instead of being celebrated, they were just being used as like fuel and evidence to prove or used as evidence and fuel to prove people's narrative of why certain players at the club should stay at the club. And I was just like, just enjoy the fact that we've beaten Chelsea and Man United, and you know, we're back within the shout of making Champions League. But it was just this constant theme of, this is why Elneny should stay. I was right about Elneny. This is why Xhaka should stay. I was right about Xhaka. Oh, you were wrong. And I was just like, it was literally, at one point, it was literally doing my absolute head in. And I didn't want to put up a tweet, you know, specifically about those players, because I didn't want people to think that I was being on a downer about them. At the same time, I was like, we just won 2 games. We got 6 points from games that we didn't envision we would get. You know, nobody envisioned after those 3 defeats that we were going to be back in top 4, you know, race for top 4. And it's just like, instead of just being jubilant about, you know, the games and the victories and the results, you know, we were just like turning it into, you know, Xhaka in versus Xhaka out, and El Neni in versus El Neni out, and Arteta in versus Arteta out. And I actually WhatsApped you and I said the worst thing about this club is the fan base. I actually said to you at one point, I was like, and obviously I don't mean everybody when I say that, sections of the fan base. But it's you know, particularly on Twitter, there are sections of the fan base that just make even victory for Arsenal, they turn it into a different narrative and agenda, or just something that is toxic, where really and truly, you know, just enjoy the game, enjoy the result, you know, and go to bed and sleep well. But some of us just can't do it, man. I don't know why.
All right, well, let's read out some of these comments just off the back of that conversation. Matt, you give credit where it's due. At the end of the team has done well to turn results around in such a small space after the last few weeks. Absolutely. Lottie, there's a human line you just don't cross, and some people don't get that. Yeah, I have to agree. Scott, morning, Scott, my favourite Australian ever.
Yes.
Sorry I'm late. No worries, Scott. Good to have you with us.
I watched his stream earlier. It was banging. Good stream.
Do you know what? I feel terrible because I love Scott, but I don't get to watch a lot of his streams live. I do try to watch them back later on. So I will try to have a wee watch that over the next couple of days. Look at saying, hi Lottie, how's you? Scott, in regards to the Xhaka, criticism of players who aren't performing is fine, and so is praise when they do perform. You guys only ever criticise with respect. Thank you for that, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Couldn't sum it up better. Look, is good. Lottie saying, hey, look, I'm not 100%. I'm just going to sort of skip through some of these because it's a conversation within a conversation. And I'm not being rude. Lottie, if you ever need to talk to me, but hope you recover. Lottie still hungover. Though Barry actually sick. Yeah. She was. Do you know what? Lottie had really wanted to come on tonight. So I know she is sick because she had been busting to come up and talk about the United game, because I know she had such a good time at it. Big up 13 watching. Yeah. Cheers, look, I appreciate it. Catch up soon. Smash the like button, everybody. Absolutely, if you haven't done it already. Joe, evening, Joe. Hope you're good. Big up, Lottie. Hope you're keeping well. Scott pulled off the double over Rob and RJ. Loved it this morning. I imagine that was some fun.
Yeah, that was some fun. That was a good stream, man.
Great win Saturday on Lenny and Xhaka. Best I've seen for a long time from Joe. Barry, sorry, Lottie, after your last pictures in pub, I thought you'd had a rough weekend. Get well soon. And Lottie saying thanks, Barry. So yeah, kind of just to sum it up very quickly. I'll need to sort out a hoodie or jumper with you at some point for the chat alongs. No worries, man. We can have a chat about that. Yeah, to sum up the game for me, just very, very quickly, because I'm kind of conscious of time. I'll go back to what I said at the start. Good win. Performance wasn't wonderful.
Yeah.
But it sets us in a good place. And, you know, back-to-back big wins against Chelsea and United. In games that people arguably would think we would drop points. We picked up 6, and it's put us in a really good position. A lot to work on. And I think, obviously, and we're going to talk about it in a wee second in terms of the top 4 race, but where we finish this season, I think massively affects the caliber of players that we bring in next season, and the amount that we bring in as well.
Yeah.
So in the context of our season, 2 massive performances. So well done to the boys, you know, brilliant getting those results.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, for me, you know what? It's got to that point in the season. It's, as I keep saying, it's the money end of the season. To be honest, I'm not too fussed about the performances if we can keep getting the results. I'd be more interested in our performances, obviously, beginning of next season. But right now, like I said, money end of the season. It's all about getting the wins. If we can get these wins by any means necessary to get us over the line and get top 4, I'm all for it. Obviously, I hope the performances improve because it just makes it more of a relaxing watch as an Arsenal fan. But yeah, by any means necessary, let's get the wins and let's secure top 4.
Okay. We're going to have a quick chat about the top 4 run in a wee sec. Just one more comment there. If we do get Champions League football and we get players in, we have to make sure that they aren't just here for the Champions League ride. They're here to play for Arsenal. Absolutely, Adam.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Great shout.
Yeah, great point.
Okay, just before we talk about the top 4 running, I just want to say a very quick thank you to obviously everybody in the stream right now, everybody that follows us on Twitter, follows us on YouTube and all our other social medias. We hit a couple of milestones this week, which we're really proud of. It may not, to some of you, sound like a big deal, but to us it's a massive thing because we started this a year and a bit ago for a bit of fun, and we feel like we've got such a good community now, and we love doing this and we love interacting with you guys, and it means so much to us that you give us your time and that you come and you spend this time with us watching these shows, or that if you don't watch them live, you'll watch them at another time and you'll give us feedback and stuff, and we love that and we appreciate it so much, and we'll never get tired of telling you how much we appreciate it. But the 2 milestones we've hit this week: Twitter, our main Cannon Chatter account has now hit 11,000 followers. So thank you so much for that. It's absolutely amazing. And the interaction is increasing on there all the time. You know, we did that poll the other night and there was, as I say, I think it was close to 1,100 votes on it, which is brilliant. The other thing then is obviously in terms of YouTube, we have hit the 500 subscribers mark, which again, I know there's other YouTubers in the stream and stuff and they've got more than that, and brilliant. You know, proud of you guys, and we support you guys as well. And we have full respect for 99% of YouTubers because we know how hard it can be.
Yeah.
But for us, it's a little milestone, and we really, really appreciate the fact that you guys have taken the time to hit that subscribe button. And it means the world to us. So thank you so much. Jay, anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to add too much. I thought you absolutely smashed it in terms of the appreciation that we have for everybody that supported us, everybody that's helped us, everybody that, you know, tunes into the shows. Obviously 11K on Twitter, absolutely brilliant. You know, 500 subscribers on YouTube. Like I say, it doesn't sound like much, but for us, it is an amazing little milestone. And you know, I just want to continue to see our channel organically grow, because that's what we like to say. You know, so yeah, no, just a big thank you from me, and obviously from Stephen and the whole Cannon Chatter team. And yeah, let's celebrate. You know, let's hope we're sitting here in a couple of months' time celebrating 12K on Twitter and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know obviously we're speaking on behalf of Lottie and Lee and Bobby as well, and I can see Lee's in the chat now as well, and Lottie's obviously been with us most of the night in the chat, and Lottie's doing amazing stuff for the women's football as well, getting some great viewing figures and stuff in there. So, you know, I'd like to think we're going strength to strength, and hopefully things will continue to grow. So as we say, thank you to everybody. Scott, lads, we need Jesus to stop scoring. Going to make that price tag skyrocket. Yeah, do you know what? We kicked off the show talking about Jesus, and we both sort of said the same thing. Joe, I got a ticket for Newcastle versus Arsenal game. Yeah, that's going to be a good game. We'll talk about that in a wee sec. Gio, congrats, guys. Thank you. Matt, congrats. Thank you. Scott, congratulations to the milestone 500 just the beginning, guys. Hopefully it is. Adam, massive congrats to you all. Lottie, yes. Congrats, Lottie, G and Stephen. You're all amazing. Thank you, Joe. It means the world to us. You've no idea. It sounds silly, but we just love hearing positive feedback from people.
Yeah, it's nice.
It really, it does the soul good, as they say. Quarter of the way to Lottie's tattoo.
You never know. Guys, you never know.
We need to pick up the pace here.
Yeah, we do.
Lee, many congratulations on fantastic landmark, great stuff, and big thanks to everyone who's subscribed. Absolutely, Lee. Matt, you're all amazing, and being part of it as a guest is amazing. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Matt. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate you coming on so much now as a guest. And we'll have to get you on one of these shows soon. A couple of weeks, and I'm free, Jamie. Yeah, no, Lottie. You said the start of next season. We still have the whole summer.
Yeah, don't let me get the snippet. Don't let me get the snippet. You know, I will go back and I will find the show and I will snip it and I will post it, Lottie. So behave.
I'll have to phone Alison and have a wee word with her.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Beginning of next season, Lottie. There's still time. Hey.
Right. Top 4 race. So,
yes,
as it stands, we're currently holding that 4th place.
Yes.
Played 33, 60 points. Spurs are in 5th, 33 played, 58 points. Now, at this point, I firstly, sorry, before going any further, I just want to say you'll see there in the middle of that image, the Armory TV. I completely stole this graphic from them.
Yeah.
They know because I told them I was stealing it and I was using it tonight. So thank you to them for not moaning. Tony, you're brilliant. Canners, Gumza, guys, brilliant. Thank you so much. We love you guys. But yeah, I'll steal your graphics if it saves me having to do the work. So yeah, at this point, I'm kind of. I think we can write off West Ham, and we can all but write off United in terms of that race.
Mm-hmm.
So really, for me, it comes down to us and Tottenham.
Yep.
I don't think Spurs are going to drop enough points, or not Spurs. Sorry, Chelsea are going to drop enough points for us to be looking realistically at 3rd. No. So it really is that 4th place. So in terms of the running, I've said before, if you look at our games, I think West Ham and Leeds. West Ham this weekend, they have no defenders, and they've got a big European semi-final coming up next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we don't win that game, serious questions need to be asked about the mentality of the squad. The Leeds game at home will be tough, but we should win it. Spurs game could go either way. Mm-hmm. It could go either way. For me, the 2 concerns are Newcastle and Everton. Newcastle, just because they're on a good run of form. They're probably one of the form teams in the Premier League right now.
Yep.
And Everton, because at this point, we don't know if we're going to go into that last game of the season with Everton needing a win to stay above relegation.
Yeah.
And if you flip it around then, you look at Spurs, they're running. They've got Leicester at home this weekend. And Leicester aren't having a good season. But Leicester can turn up against anybody and give them a game.
Yep.
So it's not a foregone conclusion that they'll win that game. Liverpool, I don't think they've won at Anfield since something like 2012. So, and Liverpool are in that battle for the title. So I can't see them getting anything out of that game personally. The game against us, we go back to it could go either way. And you'd like to think Burnley at home, Burnley are potentially fighting relegation. Be a tough game, but you'd think that Spurs would probably win that. And Norwich, I imagine, will be relegated long before it ever gets to the last day of the season. And I can't see that being much of an issue for them. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight. What do you think? I mean, are you confident we can take 4th place? Or do you still think Spurs have a slight advantage? I mean, where's your sort of head going here?
You know what? It's crazy because it's like the Premier League. The momentum just shifts from one week to the next. You know, there was a time, obviously, post the international break, I was feeling absolutely optimistic, enthusiastic, excited. I was thinking, Palace, Brighton, Southampton, minimum 7 points. And that will put us in good stead against, obviously 2 tough games against Chelsea and United. Regardless of what seasons they're having, it's always going to be tough games. We lose 3 that we thought we'd win, and then we win 2 that we thought we'd struggle. So, and very similar to Spurs, when we were off form, they seemed to be on form. And then now we've won 2 games, they've kind of stuttered, most recently in their last couple of games. They look like they were all, freely goal scoring. Kane looked phenomenal. Son was on form, and they looked like they were just going to literally just blast their way to top four. And all of a sudden, they've just kind of come unstuck over the last couple of fixtures. That's kind of put us back in the driving seat. At the end of the day, it's in our hands, because with the same amount of games played, we're 2 points ahead. So if we, apply ourselves, perform, and get the results we know we're capable of, we finish top four. But that's a big if, or maybe in the Premier League, as we know. I will say, what I said about the United game after the Chelsea game. I'd be gutted and I'd be really gobsmacked, like you said, if we lost to West Ham. I think real questions would have to be asked about the squad. They are there for the taking. West Ham have put all their eggs in one basket. They've got their eye on that Europa League final. They want to win that. Like you said, they've got not a single fit centre-back. And really and truly, even though it's an away game and West Ham will be competitive, they'll sit back, they'll try to be tight. I just think they don't really have anything to play for in terms of this game. So I think if we apply ourselves and play the way we can, I think we beat West Ham. And I think we beat them comfortably, if I'm completely honest. We should beat Leeds. Leeds are not out of danger yet, but they've had an awful season. And again, it's how we approach these games and how we perform. That is the type of fixture, though, where we have come unstuck when we've gone into games and thought, oh, yeah, we're going to, we'll be all right. And we've not been. But I can see us getting 6 points from the next two. Having said that, I think Tottenham, Spurs will struggle against Leicester and definitely against Liverpool. And my hope is that, they will come away with a maximum of a point, if not none. And then I think that puts us in a fantastic position for the last, couple of games. The North London derby, I think what would be a dream is if we could actually secure top four at White Hart Lane. That would just be some end to the season. And I tell you, some Amazon documentary, wouldn't it? If we could actually, we've won the league there, so why not secure top four there? So that would be the dream. But yeah, I have to agree with you. That game could go either way. Obviously, we slapped them earlier in the season. But I just feel like if top four is still up for grabs, which it will be, I think that's going to be such a massive game. It's going to be so tense. And I think it's going to tell you a lot about both teams. It's going to tell you a lot about Conte's side. It's going to tell you a lot about Arteta's team. But that's going to be probably the biggest North London derby we've had in years, just because, what potentially is riding on it. Newcastle's going to be a tough game because, like you said, I put a tweet out earlier saying I actually looked at the table and I was trying to do some maths, and I saw that Newcastle had gone from being bottom of the table in December, January to 9th. And I was just like, when did that happen? Don't get me wrong, I've seen them pick up some results, but yeah, that was crazy. So they're in form, and you know what? Like, they're a club, full of confidence, a group of players that Eddie Howe, I believe, has done a really good job. You can say he had 50 million to spend, but let's look at what he spent it on, and let's look at the players that have come into that side. We were talking about this off air on WhatsApp and stuff. He's not gone in and bought world beaters. Yeah, he's improved the squad, but not tenfold. So I think he's doing as good a job as any Newcastle fan could expect. To go from rock bottom of the Premier League to 9th in the table, I think is remarkable. I think he's doing a really good job. So that's going to be a tough game. Burnley, for me, are coming into form. I was a bit surprised when they sacked Sean Dyche. I didn't think it was the right thing to do. However, results recently suggest maybe they were right, because they seem to have a real kind of upturn in form. I think Everton are currently sitting in the bottom three, and I think they've come out of the bottom three. But I know Everton do have, I believe, a game in hand, but it's mighty close at the bottom. Which then leaves us into the last two fixtures. And I really wouldn't want to go into the last game of the season trying to secure top four, having to play an Everton team fighting for their survival. At the same time, you know, my friend, you know, a gooner that I was talking to said, well, would it be any better, you know, going into that game with Everton having, you know, nothing to play for and already be, you know, resigned to relegation because they just then have nothing to lose. So it is a bit of a, you know, they could just kind of go out on that Saturday or Sunday afternoon and just play football. And you know, sometimes that really does bring the best out of a side when, you know, they're kind of nothing to play for. They can just go out and enjoy the game, you know, on a sunny afternoon in May. So I really don't know how I feel about that last fixture. You know, if you look at it on paper, the season we've had and the season they've had, we should absolutely trounce them. But, you know, we saw that at the beginning of the season. Well, not beginning of the season, but last time we played them, we thought it was game, set, match. You know, we was almost celebrating the 3 points before we'd even got them. And they turned us over. So it's going to be a tough match regardless. And Spurs will beat Norwich. I can't see any other result other than that. So it's going to be tight. I'm feeling a lot more optimistic than I was. You know, obviously, you know, straight after the last 3 defeats. I just can't bring myself, Stephen, at this point to commit to the fact that we are going to get top 4. I really hope we can get top 4. I want us to get top 4. I'm dying for us to get top 4. I really, really am. But we're not there yet. And I just feel like we need to take every game as it comes, one game at a time. First of all, we've got West Ham at the weekend. We see how that go, and then, you know, after that we'll regroup and obviously look ahead to Leeds and see how it goes. So yeah, I'm not going to commit to top 4 at this stage because I just can't. It's too unpredictable and it's just too all over the place, the Premier League, for me to even envision that this is going to be straightforward between now and the end of the season. I think it's going to be an absolute roller coaster between us and Spurs and who finishes top 4. So yeah, so far so good, better position than we was in, but yeah, I can't commit to top 4. I don't know how you man are feeling in the chat, but I just can't do it. Not yet.
All right, well, let's have a wee read of some of these comments in here. First of all, Lottie, she heard you. That's okay. We don't mind. Alison, we love you. It's fine.
Yeah, we do. We love you, Alison.
Jimmy, yeah, I thought that too. Stephen, August is a bit away. This is obviously in relation to our 2,000 subs for Lottie's tattoo.
Yeah.
Adam did a Twitter thread on running to try and cover all the parameters. There are so many. If we win the next 2 and Spurs lose to Liverpool, I'll be confident we can do it.
Yeah.
Scott, those last 2 matches against Newcastle and Everton can't be underestimated. Tuna in top form, and Everton may very well be fighting to stay up. Just like to say, how good do you think we could have been if we had a Buck Ramirez instead of Newcastle?
I tell you, that is some signing for them. You see his goal at the weekend.
Yeah.
The way he took it.
Ooh. Oh, he's doing me wonders. I put him on my fantasy team a while back.
Good shout.
That's why I'm doing so well all of a sudden, because he's having the blinder at the minute.
Yeah.
Adam, I think Spurs against us will be a draw. If we can seal Europe with a draw, Spurs ground, I'll take that. Harks back to a certain other draw at White Hart Lane. Absolutely. Yeah. Matt, remember the COVID season we played Watford at home and nearly bottled it.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, on the flip side, if we lose the next 2 games, we're pretty much sunk. But I think with the momentum we have now, we should have enough until we get to the North London derby.
Boy, it's close.
Us going to West Ham might be like Palace coming to us, if you know what I mean. Lee, I think with Vardy back for Leicester, I'd fancy them against Spurs. I did not know Vardy was back. That could make that interesting. Jay has been reading my Twitter threads and YouTube comments from Adam. This is Lucas Life. Lottie, catch me up soon. Jamie, it would remind me of Leeds 2003. Adam, this is our best chance since 2018-19 to get back into the top 4. And this side is a better mentality to the one that collapsed under Emery. Yeah, just to let you know, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Absolutely. It's one game at a time, I think is kind of what we've got to look at it.
Yeah.
I think for me, you know, if we could go into the North London derby with a 5-point gap, that would be enough. Because we could secure it that night with a win or a draw, essentially. We want the win. Yes, Lottie. I can't read that out. Your mummy's listening. We know you use rude words. First time our fans return since the lockdown started. Oh, we played there last season, did we not? With fans?
I'm not sure, you know.
I thought the fans were there last season anyway. I think they will be a big part of driving them on. Absolutely. Okay. I forgot to. Any more comment? Yeah. She told me to. Okay. Fans weren't there last season. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Good show. Fans have never been to North London Derby at the new Spurs Stadium. All right. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, that'll be good then. First time going. Let's make it our ground. Just make sure that, you know, someone remembers to flush on the way out. They were there for the Mind series, but that was it. Right, okay. That's where I was getting mixed up. Thank you, Adam. Okay, right. G, good show tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure, man.
It's always with G and me.
Yeah.
An hour and 50 minutes tonight.
I know, 2 hours. You remember you used to say it was me. It was G. You talk too much. I'm telling you, it's when you host, bro.
But does that not just mean that I come up with really good talking points?
No, it does.
Really
Listen, I'm not complaining. They say, yeah, you don't realize the time flies when you enjoy yourself. And honestly, I couldn't imagine that we'd been on the stream an hour and 50. So no, it's brilliant. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, and thank you to everybody that's joined us and stayed with us the whole show. And to anybody that's watching this back later on, thank you for your time. As we said earlier on, it means the world to us. So shows this week. You're coming back on Thursday night with a preview for the West Ham game. I know Bobby's joining you, possibly Lee, possibly me. I'm just not 100% sure at the minute. And then I believe Lottie is back on Friday night, I think, according to her schedule, depending on if she's feeling better. And then Sunday we have 2 watch-alongs or chat-alongs, as we call them, chat-alongs on Sunday. We have one for the women's game and we have one for the men's game. So I think they kick off, if I'm right, around about 2 o'clock. Those will start. And that's back-to-back shows for Lee. But I know the rest of us are going to probably try and jump on at some point during the days. But make sure and join in and get involved in those. Because do you know what? Commentary on TV is crap. So turn the commentary off and just join in with the guys, get involved in the conversation, have a bit of banter, have a bit of a chat. Any last comments? Get them in now. G, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, just obviously thank you to everyone who has joined us, has stayed with us for almost 2 hours. Can't put it into words how much we appreciate it. And yeah, just again, thank you for obviously those of you who follow the main Cannon Chat, our Twitter milestone of hitting 11K. And yeah, for whatever reason, if you are watching, if you're new, if you're not new, but you haven't subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button because we're already on the way to 1,000 subscribers. And let's just hope we can get there quicker than we got to 500. So massive thank you from me and the whole team. And yes, as Stephen confirmed, I am back on Thursday night for the lock-in, where me and Bobby definitely will be doing the preview ahead of the West Ham game. But as Stephen said, Lee might also be available and Stephen might be joining us as well. Just got to kind of confirm a couple of bits. But yeah, we'll definitely be back on Thursday. Not sure of a time yet, but it's likely to be a 9 p.m. show because that's kind of like our regular routine show. We've tried some other times. Sometimes we tweak the time slightly. And to be honest, it's just really to do with availability of myself and the team members. But I think it's pretty obvious that people like our 9 o'clock slot. So I think we'll be definitely sticking with that more often moving forward and only changing it when it's a case of having to. So yeah, see you on Thursday at 9 p.m. for the lock-in West Ham, Arsenal versus West Ham preview.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Right, I'll read these last couple of comments and then we will say goodnight. Lottie, thank you, Adam. Lottie again, thank you, boys. I still hold my new record.
I know, 36 minutes. How do you do it?
It's because we've more to talk about.
But you know Lottie, yeah, she's bad, you know, because you know what she does. Her and it's Keith as well that's done it. They wait until they always know that I like to keep the show about 45 minutes to an hour. And then what Lottie does, and particularly Keith, the madman Keith, he comes in and they come in and they start filling up the chat when it gets to like 55 minutes, yeah. And they know literally that I can't just end it because they keep the comments. Keith will come in and be like, yeah, what do you think about zonal and man market and all this stuff? I'm like, you lot are just bad. So Lottie, you know what you're doing, Lottie. Yeah, I can see you coming in with your comments. But yeah, 36 minutes, I don't know how she does it. But I'll never beat her record because she'll always come into the chat and just keep me busy with these comments. But it's all love.
All right. Gee, we'll see you guys later. Good night, all. Lottie, if I'm feeling better, Stephen, unsure at the minute, no worries. She's halfway there. Unplanned and awesome. She's been rumbled. We know what you're at. I have nothing to do with Keith talking. No. All right. Listen, thank you so much, everybody. It's been a great chat. Really enjoyed tonight. I am off to get some dinner because I'm hungry. And other than that, as you say, back on Thursday night. Until then, keep chatting.